Good morning, everyone. Rev here this morning, Thursday, February the 18th. I hope that you're safe and well and blessed this morning. I hope you're ready to be a witness for Jesus in whatever way, whatever capacity He may have for you today. I am going to read this morning from the book of 1 Samuel. This is from chapter 5, the first 8 verses. After the Philistines had captured the ark of God, they took it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. Then they carried the ark into Dagon's temple and set it beside Dagon. When the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, there was Dagon fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. They took Dagon and put him back in his place. But the following morning, when they rose, there was Dagon again fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. His head and hands had been broken off and were laying on the threshold. Only his body remained. That is why to this day neither the priests of Dagon nor any others who enter Dagon's temple at Ashdod step on the threshold. The Lord's hand was heavy upon the people of Ashdod and its vicinity. He brought devastation upon them and afflicted them with tumors. When the men of Ashdod saw what was happening, they said, "The ark of God of Israel must not stay here with us, because of his hand is heavy upon us and upon Dagon our God." So they called together all the rulers of the Philistines and asked them, "What shall we do with the ark of God of Israel?" They answered, "Have the ark of God of Israel moved to Gath." And so they moved the ark of the God of Israel. May God add his blessing to the reading of his word this morning. Do you remember when you were younger a game called hot potato? You'd take an object, whatever it might be, and you would toss it to a friend. And then that person would immediately toss it to somebody else. And the idea was not to get burned. You were considered burned if you hung on to it too long, or if time ran out, or however you played the game. Well, the Philistines had captured the ark of God, the ark of the covenant, and their idol, Dagon, tumbled in the ark's presence. The people, they themselves were struck, as I read, they were struck with painful tumors. So, Ashdod, also known as Azotus, they hurriedly sent the ark to Gath. Now, I didn't read on past that, but if we would have read on, we'll find that Gath rushed it on to Ekron. God's ark was the hot potato. Excuse me. And so they would try to get rid of it, and so that things wouldn't happen to them. But I want you to consider this. The Philistines, they experienced God's power. They knew that God was real. They saw the power. They knew he was real, and yet, rather than worship God, they were desperate to send the ark away. You see, reminders of God's power can be uncomfortable, especially for those without faith. And also, I guess, to believers who have strayed. God's power can be uncomfortable. For those that just don't get it, God's power can be uncomfortable. I can remember hearing a story one time about a pastor who was called to the hospital to go see a patient. And when he went into the patient's room, he asked her, he said, "How would you like me to pray for you?" She said, "I want you to pray that I'm healed." And so he did. He prayed that God would heal this person. And he did. He got done praying, and she said, "You know what? I think I'm healed." And she got out of her bed, and she began to dance around and praise the Lord. And the pastor couldn't believe what he was seeing. And so he left the room. He went down to the parking lot, and he got in his car, and he said, "God, don't you ever do that to me again." And he didn't. God's power can make people uncomfortable, even pastors. When reminders come, we have two choices, and two choices only. Get rid of God or get right with God. It's kind of that simple. You get rid of him or you get right with him. Don't make the Philistine choice. Make the choice to get right with God. Get right and hang on. And I promise you won't get burned. I'm Pastor Mark. I love you guys. Be safe, be well, be blessed, be strong. Go do something for Jesus. And I'll see you tomorrow.